Taylor from Tailored Expressions, and today I'd like to show you how to make a shaker card. Shaker cards are really fun because they add a cool interactive element to your card. And with the ability to customize the shaker, you can create some really great personalized gifts for anyone in your life. So let me show you how it's done. The project we're going to be making is this shaker card. You can see the shaker element cut into the front, and then when you shake it, you can see the sequins move around within our little shaker element there. So the first step we're going to take is to grab a set of dies. Now what I would suggest is finding something that has several dies in the same shape in different sizes. So you can see this set is called Bloom and Stacklets 1. It has several of the same shape in different sizes. What you're going to do is grab two sizes that are close to each other, so right next to each other, one larger and one a little bit smaller. The first thing we need is a piece of cardstock that's about 4 inches by 5 1/4. That will fit perfectly on an A2 card front. Then you're going to take the two dies that you chose to fit on your card. This is one larger and then the next one smaller from it. So we're going to put the smaller one down on our white piece of paper. We're going to set the larger one aside. Now you could use tape if you feel more comfortable holding it down with tape, but what I'm going to do is just leave it on there and go ahead and put that through the die cut machine. Okay, when that comes out, you can discard the trash or you can keep that little scrap for later. And then we're going to take the square that is pink, and this time we're going to take both of the dies, the larger and the smaller, and nest them together on that pink square. Now this time I am going to tape down the dies. It's a lot easier to hold them in place when there are two of them. So I have this Scotch removable tape. And we're just going to hold those in place and stick them down. Then we're going to send that through the Big Shot machine. Okay, then when that comes out, we have created the frame that you'll need to frame the outside of your cut that we just put in the white cardstock. So the next thing we're going to do, you may have noticed on my original card, is that we had some embossing on the background. So we're going to take our Clouds embossing folder and we're going to emboss this background. So the first step to do is go ahead and open up your embossing folder, put down that paper aligning the clouds at the top. You'll notice that the Clouds embossing folder is a horizontal design. So a little bit is going to stick out of the bottom, but that's okay because we're going to use our grass border die to cover that up. So then if you're using the Big Shot machine, then you probably already know this, but you will need to open up your platform, then keep the clear piece on the bottom, your embossing folder on the top, and then we're going to go ahead with our second clear piece on the top, and we're going to send that through. Now when you open that up, you can see that clouds are embossed on the background. And one thing I do want to tell you, a little trick, is to always make sure you do your cutting before you're embossing. If you were to emboss first and then send it back through and cut it, you would actually be depressing the embossed design, so you would lose a lot of that dimension that you get from the embossing. So cut first and then emboss. So now that we have the cutting and embossing done, I'm just going to move this machine out of the way here. Okay, our next step with this piece is to go ahead and take a piece of transparency, which I have cut down here to fit over the opening. We're going to turn that over and use a little bit of adhesive around the outside. Now I prefer to use a non-liquid adhesive on this because sometimes if you're using liquid you can get some that squirts into the middle, and that could cause some problems with your whatever is shaking inside your card. So, okay, we have our transparency and you can see we have our little window in the front. Now we're going to take the pink frame that we cut before. We're going to put that around the outside, just again with some adhesive. You don't need a ton. Just line it up perfectly with that portion that we cut inside. Okay, so now that we've done that, now comes the important part of the shaker card, which is adding your foam tape. The foam tape is really the dimension that gives you the space that you need to have that interactive shaking element. So we're going to go ahead with this 1/8 inch foam tape. Now, if you've done shaker cards before, you may have been using something a little thinner, and you might have found it necessary to do 2 layers of adhesive. So this is what I love about this foam tape, is that it's thick enough so that you only have to do 1 layer. It makes it really quick and easy. So what you're going to do is start by cutting small pieces of the foam tape. It comes on a roll that's 18 yards long, so you get plenty of adhesive on there. You can make lots of shaker cards. So we're going to go ahead and adhere pieces of foam tape right up against each other all the way around this circle. The most important part is that you remember that you want these touching each other. If there are any gaps in your shaker piece, in your adhesive pieces, then your elements are going to shake right out of it. I'm also going to put 1 long strip of adhesive at the bottom so that our entire card is popped up at the same dimension. And now the last step that you're going to do is to actually get your card ready to put the shaking element inside. The thing you want to remember is do not remove the backing from these top pieces. That's so that we can peel open the card and put the shaking element inside. If you adhere the whole thing, then you won't be able to fit anything inside. So I'm going to go ahead and take the backing off of all of these pieces, except for those top 3. So I have the bottom 4 and the one at the very bottom. Then I'm going to take an additional piece of white cardstock that is sized at exactly the same size as this. So it's 4 inches by 5 1/4. We're going to turn our design over, and we're just going to adhere that exactly over the top of the other white piece. Now you can see, as I peel this apart, we have the opening at the top because I didn't remove those pieces of adhesive. And we're going to go ahead and put our sequins inside. So these are our Rainbow Bright sequins. And we can just open up the bottle and start pouring those inside. And one tip I have for you is, as you set it back down, just hold it in place and see if it shakes to the point that you like. Now if you decide you want to add a few more sequins, now would be the time to do that. I'm going to add just a couple more in there. And then we need to seal it all up. So you're going to open it up with your fingers and just go ahead and take those backing pieces off the last 3 pieces of foam tape. And then if you're having a little trouble getting that backing off, just go ahead and use a little tweezers, and that works great too. So now we're going to take that last portion here and just press it down over the cardstock. So you can see we're all sealed up in there, and it shakes all of your elements around. So now we're going to start just finishing up the rest of the card. The first thing we're going to do is I have a little dot punched. We're going to add some adhesive to the back of that. Put it in the center of our flower. Then we're going to use one of the enamel dots that are really popular right now and just put that in the center of our punched circle. I'm going to take a Copic marker, and using the brush tip side, I'm just going to take that and draw in my own stem. Then I told you about the grass border earlier that we were going to put at the bottom. So I have that already cut out. I'm going to go ahead and add the adhesive to the back and adhere that to the front of the card. And I don't need all of this, so we're going to use a scissors just to cut off the portion that we don't need. Then I have this leaf die cut already finished. I'm just going to snip a portion of the leaves off because we don't need the whole piece. We're going to put some adhesive on the back again. Adhere those down to our stem. And then the last step is to add our sentiment. So I already have the Just a Note stamped onto the banner. And what I'm going to do is take some of our foam tape, The great thing about this is that you can cut it as thin or as thick as you want. So I'm going to cut 2 small thin strips from the roll. Place them on the back of the banner. And then go ahead and pop your banner up over the top of those leaves. And when that's complete, you have a fabulous shaker card. I hope you're feeling inspired to create your own shaker card. All the products I used to create this card are available in the Tailored Expressions web store at tailoredexpressions.com. Thanks for connecting with us today. Happy crafting!